And this book is calling for the creation of a new bank around the world. If you're familiar with the Federal Reserve Bank in the United States, it's the Central Bank of Japan. Most countries have a central bank that regulates their money, okay? Well, we're talking about creating a central bank for ideas, whereby when you submit a certain idea, it's quantified by a local review committee in that area, and then you will receive credits for those ideas, and you're able to exchange those credits on the world currency for money. You understand? So if you're an entrepreneur or you're trying to start a business or something like that, and you don't know where to go, and this isn't like the different business agencies, this is something that would work just like Facebook, in a sense. The reason why Facebook is so popular, and it's in 250 countries, 500 million users, is because it's very easy. It's easy because you just upload and you invite your friends, but it's the platform. So all you're doing is, no matter where you are around the world, you're uploading something like your picture and your profile and your information. And then automatically, it's local, but it's global at the same time. So anyone can find you on Facebook. So this platform is to be very similar to that, except it would cover what's called intellectual capital. Now, most people think, what is intellectual capital? They know what intellectual property is, but they don't know their history about intellectual capital. The history of intellectual capital is the same thing that Rockefeller did 100 years ago, or Ford with the automobile. Intellectual capital is an idea or something that starts in the mind. Everything that exists in our world, in the digital society or in today's society, had to start in the architecture of a mind. The university you're at started in someone's mind, or a group of people's mind. Maybe it was 3 or 4 of them. And then they put together some kind of a plan, perhaps a business plan or a thesis, and then they begin to implement that plan. So that's what intellectual capital is. And at the end of the day, we all have it globally. And society around the world is rapidly changing because we've entered what's called the digital age, a new economic era, so to speak, which is where we now see society where before, traditional society 10 to 20 years ago, was you get a job and you work somewhere and you work at that company for maybe 30 years, no matter what country you were in, and then you would retire, okay, given you went to school. Well, now we're in a world of entrepreneurism. Companies are, they hire one time, they're laying off the next, they're moving around the world globally. So things are changing fast. The world, we've got iPhones, we've got iPods, you've got all this intellectual capital converted to intellectual property, which is where your valuations are. This is why Facebook is currently valued today at $50 billion and it hasn't gone public. LinkedIn just went public, and its current valuation is a little bit under $9 billion now, but when it first hit on the day of its opening was $9 billion. Well, the interesting thing about LinkedIn is it only did $15 million in revenue. So do the math. It did $15 million in revenue in 2010, and the valuation is almost close to $9 billion. Now, a lot of people say, well, that's a bubble. Everyone wants to go there. But the analysts on Wall Street are a lot smarter than people think. I mean, they're not, naive or stupid. So one of the things is they're valuing the future, the ability to have these communications, these platforms, because they know where the future's going. They're kind of mapping it out. So this is what you see when you see these valuations. Now, how is that relevant to you guys if you're going into intellectual property and understanding it? It's understanding intellectual property from the small business standpoint, but more importantly, intellectual capital, which is going to be the future of what intellectual property will become. That's people being able to vet a sound idea and take it on a platform that's instantly global. Now, one thing about this particular bank is that it will be in partnerships with all governments. It has to be, because there's no one who would ever upload their next software idea, their software codes, or the next Facebook. The wizard, let's say there's a Mark Zuckerberg somewhere in college around the world. He's not just going to, or the Baidu of China, which is the Google of China. They're not just going to upload that idea without there's some government security that idea will not be stolen from them or taken from them. So what ends up happening in this bank is once an idea is uploaded, they get a real bank account, just like you do in a normal bank account. And from that bank account, it's tracked that it was initially your idea.